Have you ever looked at a complete stranger and felt like your heart already knew them? Sometimes children notice things adults are too busy or too afraid to see. What happened at one ordinary career day changed the lives of 3 people forever, and it all began with the quiet words of a little girl who pointed across a crowded school cafeteria and whispered, "That's Dad's Vivian." No one understood what she meant at first. Not her teacher. Not the parents sitting nearby. Not even her father. But before the day was over, an old promise would be remembered, long-hidden tears would finally fall, and one unexpected act of kindness would heal wounds that had been carried for years. Before we begin, welcome to Kindness Story. If stories that restore your faith in people touch your heart, please subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more true-to-life stories about compassion, hope, and kindness. Ryan was a single father who worked as a city bus driver. Every morning before sunrise, he climbed behind the wheel, greeting passengers with a smile that hid years of quiet pain. His 8-year-old daughter, Lily, believed he had the most important job in the world because, in her words, "Dad gets people where they need to go." Ryan never corrected her. He loved that she saw goodness in simple things. Career Day arrived at Lily's elementary school on a bright Friday morning. Parents filled the cafeteria wearing uniforms, business suits, medical scrubs, and construction vests. Children proudly introduced their moms and dads while teachers smiled from the sidelines. Ryan almost skipped the event. He worried that being just a bus driver wasn't impressive enough compared to doctors, lawyers, and business owners. But Lily insisted. "You help people every single day," she told him. "That's important." Those words stayed with him as he stood nervously beside his bus driver's cap, waiting for his turn to speak. Halfway through the event, another guest entered the cafeteria. She was a successful architect named Vivian Carter. She had been invited because she recently designed a new community library. She wore a simple navy blazer and greeted everyone with genuine warmth instead of the confidence people expected from someone so accomplished. The moment Lily saw her, she froze. She tugged on Ryan's sleeve, pointed across the room, and whispered softly, "That's Dad's Vivian." Ryan stared at his daughter, confused. "What do you mean?" "She smiles the same way as the lady in your picture." Ryan's heart skipped. Years ago, hidden inside an old photo album, there was one faded college photograph. Ryan had once loved a young woman named Vivian. Life had separated them before graduation when Ryan's father became seriously ill. Ryan left school, worked multiple jobs, and eventually lost contact with her. He had never spoken much about that chapter of his life. Lily had only seen the picture once. Ryan slowly looked toward the woman across the room. It couldn't be. But somehow, it was. Vivian turned, noticed Ryan staring, and her expression changed instantly. Her confident smile faded into disbelief. "Ryan?" He nodded quietly. For a moment, the noisy cafeteria disappeared. 20 years vanished between them. Neither knew what to say. Their reunion might have ended with an awkward greeting if Lily hadn't stepped forward. She smiled at Vivian and said, "Hi. I'm Lily." Vivian knelt to her level. "It's so nice to meet you. You're prettier than the picture." Several nearby parents laughed gently. Ryan turned bright red. Vivian laughed too, the same laugh Ryan remembered from college. After the presentations ended, Ryan apologized for staring. "I never expected to see you again." Vivian smiled sadly. I looked for you. Ryan blinked. You did? I called your old apartment. I wrote letters. They all came back. Ryan lowered his eyes. My father was sick. We moved. Everything happened so fast. Vivian nodded. I figured something must have happened. There was no anger. Only years of unanswered questions finally finding peace. As they talked, Lily wandered toward the snack table. She noticed one of her classmates sitting alone. His father hadn't been able to leave work. While other children stood proudly beside parents, he quietly picked at a cookie without speaking. Lily carried over one of the extra juice boxes. My dad says nobody should sit alone. The boy smiled for the first time all morning. Vivian watched the moment. So that's where she gets her heart. Ryan shrugged. She teaches me more than I teach her. The principal noticed the lonely student too. Inspired by Lily's kindness, she invited several volunteer parents to gather around him and ask about his dreams. Within minutes, he wasn't alone anymore. One small act had changed the entire mood of the room. Vivian looked at Ryan thoughtfully. You always believed kindness mattered more than success. Ryan laughed quietly. I wasn't always sure I was right. You were. Over the following weeks, Vivian visited the bus depot with coffee for Ryan before his morning routes. Ryan helped her organize community events at the new library. Lily insisted they all plant flowers together outside the children's reading garden. Neighbors began volunteering. Families donated books. Retired teachers offered free tutoring. The little library slowly became more than a building. It became a place where strangers became friends. One afternoon, Vivian shared something Ryan never expected. When we lost touch, I almost gave up on architecture. Ryan looked surprised. You inspired me to keep going. You always believed I could build places that helped people. Ryan smiled softly. I barely remember saying that. I remembered. Sometimes we never realize how deeply our words stay in someone else's heart. Months later, the school invited Ryan and Vivian back to speak during Family Appreciation Week. Instead of talking about careers, they spoke about kindness. Ryan explained that every passenger carried an invisible story. A smile might be the only kindness someone receives all day. Vivian told students that buildings weren't the most important things she created. Communities are built with kindness, not concrete. Then Lily raised her hand. I know something. The audience smiled. What do you know? The principal asked. Lily looked around the room. Kind people always find each other again. Silence filled the auditorium. Several parents wiped away tears. Ryan reached for Vivian's hand. She squeezed it gently. Neither of them knew what the future would bring. Maybe friendship. Maybe something more. But they both understood that kindness had quietly guided them back together after all those years. Life rarely follows the plans we make. Sometimes doors close before we're ready. Sometimes people disappear before we get the chance to say goodbye. Yet kindness has a remarkable way of reconnecting hearts when the time is right. A child offering a juice box. A father showing up despite his doubts. A woman remembering the encouragement she received decades earlier. None of those moments seemed extraordinary by themselves. Together, they changed lives. So the next time you meet a stranger, remember that every person carries a story you cannot see. A gentle word, a patient smile, or a simple act of kindness may become the moment they remember forever. And perhaps, just like Ryan, Vivian, and little Lily, you'll discover that kindness has been leading you towards something beautiful all along. Until next time, keep choosing compassion, keep believing in people, and keep spreading kindness wherever you go. Because the smallest act of kindness can become someone else's greatest miracle.